Ever wondered how a real English castle woke up, what nobles actually ate for breakfast, or why bread was more than just food? Step inside the walls and experience, meal by meal, the daily life of a 16th-century noble household. Each day begins before the household is fully awake. Pale morning light enters through the narrow windows of my chamber, touching the painted glass and the heavy wool hangings around the bed. Beyond the walls, the castle is still quiet. Soon enough, servants will carry wood to the kitchens, horses will be led from the stables, and the great hall will begin to stir. For now, there is only the cold air, the smell of ashes from the fire, and the distant call of a watchman ending his duty. In a noble household, the day does not begin with a grand meal for everyone. Some rise early for work, prayer, hunting, or travel. Others wait until the morning has advanced. The hours of eating are shaped by custom, season, and the business of the house. If I am hungry before the principal meal, a small morning portion may be brought to my chamber. It is not a modern breakfast, and it is rarely an elaborate affair. There may be a piece of wheaten bread, finer and whiter than the darker loaves eaten by servants and tenants, together with cheese, butter, or yesterday's cold meat. In summer, apples, pears, or cherries may appear when the orchards are bearing fruit. In autumn, there might be nuts. During winter, fresh fruit is scarce, and the household depends on apples kept in storage, dried fruit, or preserves made during the warmer months. A little honey may sweeten the bread, though honey is valuable and not poured freely at every meal. Sugar is known to the wealthy, but in England it is an expensive imported luxury. To drink, there may be ale, beer, or wine. In a noble household, wine is usually reserved for the lord, his family, and honored guests, while ale is more common among the wider household. The stronger and finer wines arrive through trade from France, Spain, or other regions of Europe. Water is also available drawn from a well, spring, or nearby stream, though its quality cannot always be trusted. In towns, rivers and wells may be polluted. In the countryside, a clean spring or properly maintained well can provide perfectly useful water. We do not drink ale only because water is deadly. Ale and wine are also customary, nourishing, and part of the daily provision of the household. Coffee and tea have no place here. They have not yet become English drinks. Cocoa, potatoes, tomatoes, and turkeys from the New World are unknown to this table. After this small portion, the business of the day begins. A nobleman may hear petitions, inspect accounts, receive letters, discuss rents with his steward, or ride across the estate. A noblewoman may oversee stores, servants, clothing, children, and household production, though her responsibilities depend greatly on her family and circumstances. The steward has an important duty. He must know how much grain remains in the stores, how many animals are ready for slaughter. The larder may contain salted pork, bacon, smoked fish, dried peas, beans, onions, cabbages, turnips, flour, oats, and hard cheeses. Meat can be preserved by salting, smoking, drying, or placing it in a spiced pie. Such food is not merely a luxury. It is part of the household's provisions between one slaughtering season and the next. In a great household, the kitchen is busy from early morning. Bakers prepare loaves, brewers attend to ale, and cooks work over fires that must burn throughout the day. Poultry is plucked, vegetables are cleaned, and large pots are set to simmer. Every meal depends on the labor of people whose names may never appear in a family chronicle. The most important meal of the day is lunch. In 16th century England, it is commonly eaten in the late morning or around midday, although the exact hour changes with the season, occupation, and household custom. The Great Hall is the center of the household. Long tables are covered with cloths, while the highest-ranking members sit at the upper table, often raised above the others. The arrangement of people is not accidental. Seating shows rank, honor, and proximity to the lord and lady of the house. A knife is useful at the table, and spoons are used for certain foods, but forks are not yet part of ordinary English dining. Food is taken with the fingers, and bread trenchers may serve as temporary plates. The trenchers themselves can later be given to servants or the poor, or used in other ways. The meal may begin with pottage, a thick preparation of grains, peas, beans, onions, cabbage, herbs, or meat broth. It is not necessarily humble food. A rich household can make pottage more substantial with marrow, butter, spices, or pieces of meat. Other early dishes might include frumenti, a preparation of wheat cooked until soft, sometimes enriched with milk, eggs, or broth, or a dish of seasoned vegetables. Recipes vary according to the cook, the season, and what the estate can provide. Then the more expensive foods arrive. There may be roasted mutton, beef, pork, or veal. A capon, goose, duck, or other domestic fowl might be served on an important day. Venison is particularly associated with the privilege of the nobility, since the right to hunt deer is restricted by law and custom. Rabbit and hare may also appear, as may game birds taken on the estate. The meat is often accompanied by sauces made with wine, ale, vinegar, verjuice, the sharp juice of unripe grapes, or spices. Mustard, parsley, sage, onions, garlic, and herbs from the garden provide flavor. Spices such as pepper, ginger, cinnamon, cloves, and saffron are available to the wealthy, but their presence signals expense. They are not used simply because medieval cooks wish to disguise spoiled meat. Pies are another important part of the meal. A pastry may contain beef, pork, venison, rabbit, poultry, or fish. Some pies are practical ways to preserve and transport food. Others are elaborate dishes prepared for feasts. The pastry can be decorated, shaped, or colored with saffron, but the spectacular creations described in royal banquets should not be treated as an everyday meal. On special occasions, the household may serve several courses, one following another. A feast can display the wealth of the family through the amount of food, the number of servants, the quality of the wine, and the costly ingredients used by the kitchen. The church governs more than prayers. It also shapes the calendar of food. On Fridays during Lent and on other prescribed fast days, many people avoid meat. The exact rules vary, and wealthy households may sometimes receive dispensations or find ways to make the restrictions less burdensome. Fish, however, is not considered ordinary meat for the purpose of these rules, so it becomes central to the table on fasting days. Fresh fish may come from the estate's ponds and rivers: pike, perch, carp, trout, or eel. Along the coast, herrings, cod, mussels, oysters, and other seafood may be available. Salted and dried fish are especially important during winter and when fresh supplies are difficult to obtain. A fasting meal might include fish pie, stewed eel, pottage made with vegetables, bread, peas, beans, or almond milk. Almonds are imported and expensive, but almond milk is a familiar ingredient in wealthy and religious kitchens because it can replace dairy products in certain dishes. Eggs and butter may also be restricted on some fasting days, depending on the particular observance. These rules are not identical everywhere, and a 16th-century English household may follow them with greater or lesser strictness. Wine is served to those of high status and to important guests. It may be spiced, warmed, or sweetened, especially on festive occasions. Imported wine is costly, and the kind available depends on trade, wealth, and location. Ale is more common. It is brewed from grain and is an important part of household provisioning. Stronger ale may be served to the better-ranking members of the household, while weaker ale is distributed more widely. It is not merely a substitute for water. It is a normal part of the diet and provides calories as well as refreshment. The meal is also a public performance. A noble household is expected to demonstrate generosity. Guests may arrive with little warning, and an important lord must be prepared to feed retainers, travelers of rank, messengers, and allies. Music, conversation, and storytelling may accompany a feast. Minstrels can be employed for special occasions, though a minstrel is not necessarily present every evening. At more formal dinners, food is carried from the kitchen in a carefully organized procession. The number of dishes and the quality of the service remind everyone of the power and resources of the household. Once the principal meal is finished, there is usually no need for a modern-style series of snacks throughout the afternoon. There may be work, writing, prayer, hunting, legal business, or entertainment. Still, food can appear when circumstances demand it. A traveler may be given bread, cheese, cold meat, or a cup of ale before continuing his journey. A servant may carry provisions to someone working outside. During a long meeting or a day of hunting, the household may prepare a portable meal of bread, pies, boiled eggs, cold poultry, dried fruit, and ale. In a wealthy house, guests might be offered wafers, spiced cakes, fruit preserves, or comfits, small sweets made with sugar or honey. These are treats for feast days and important company, not necessarily an everyday afternoon indulgence. Dried figs, raisins, dates, and almonds may be available, but they arrive through trade and are costly in much of England. Fresh fruit remains seasonal. Apples and pears can be stored, while cherries, plums, strawberries, and other soft fruits appear only at certain times of the year. Preserving food with honey, sugar, or syrup allows some of summer's harvest to survive into colder months. Supper is the second principal meal of the day. It is generally lighter than dinner, although the difference depends on the household, the season, and what has already been eaten. There may be broth, pottage, bread, cheese, or cold meat left from dinner. A stew of beans, peas, onions, cabbage, or leeks can feed many people at once. In winter, the food is heavier and more reliant on preserved provisions, salted pork, bacon, dried fish, stored grain, and root vegetables. On a fast day, supper might contain fish, eggs where permitted, vegetables, bread, and almond-based dishes. On an ordinary day, there may be mutton, rabbit, poultry, or leftovers from the main meal. The food is not necessarily plain, but it is usually less ceremonial than the dinner served in the Great Hall. Roasted chestnuts may be eaten in autumn, and apples can be baked or stewed. A small amount of honey, preserved fruit, or spiced wine may finish the meal. The table changes with the year. Winter brings salted meat, dried peas, beans, onions, cabbages, turnips, stored apples, and grain. Spring offers young greens, herbs, eggs, and, when available, lamb. Summer brings peas, cherries, berries, lettuces, and fresh dairy products. Autumn is the season of harvest, slaughter, apples, nuts, and game. Even in a wealthy castle, not every food is available at every moment. A noble household may have money and influence, but it still depends on roads, weather, harvests, local markets, and the ability to preserve food. A good lord is expected to show charity. Food may be distributed to the poor at the gate, especially on holy days, after funerals, or during important celebrations. As evening deepens, the household grows quieter. Fires burn lower in the kitchen, servants clear the tables, and the gates are secured. There may be a final cup of ale or wine before sleep, but a nightly feast is not necessary. A small piece of bread, cheese, or preserved fruit may be kept for someone who has worked late or returned from the road. Warm spiced wine is possible on a winter evening, although it is a costly comfort rather than an automatic conclusion to every day. The castle does not fall completely silent. Horses move in the stables, guards change watch, and servants continue their work. In the chamber, a candle burns beside the bed. The last meal is modest compared with the dinner served in the hall, but even this simple food has passed through many hands. Those who sowed the grain, tended the animals, brewed the ale, preserved the meat, and carried the dishes to the table. Thus passes an ordinary day in the household of a wealthy English noble in the 16th century. There is bread at the beginning of the day, pottage and meat at the principal meal, and a lighted dinner before night. There are feasts with several courses and fast days when fish and vegetables replace meat. There are imported spices, sweetmeats, and fine wines, but they are signs of wealth, not everyday necessities. The noble table is shaped by more than hunger. It reflects rank, religion, season, trade, and the labor of an entire estate. Every roasted capon, every loaf of white bread, every cask of ale represents the work of farmers, servants, cooks, brewers, bakers, and craftsmen. Whatever rests before me, coarse pottage on an ordinary evening, or a richly prepared feast for honored guests, I am reminded that food is never only food. It is power, duty, custom, and the visible reward of an entire world working beyond the walls of the hall. If you enjoyed this journey back in time, hit subscribe and join us for the next episode. Don't miss it.